This is Hatred. This has an adults only rating. It's unavailable in Australia. I don't know how I got it. I got it through Steam, but I can't access the store page for it. And I asked a friend to check it out and it doesn't work for him either. This game originally was banned from Steam. It was taken off thanks to its extreme violence, and then Gabe Newell offered a personal apology to these developers and he put it back onto Steam. Good. But when this game came out in 2015, it wasn't really reviewed very well. It got a lot of controversy for what it is, what its theme is, which, as you may see by the footage, a lot of it is killing civilians. And that's probably the main mechanic, running around, killing civilians, torturing them, or not really torturing them, getting an execution on them, and that refills your life bar. It's not that graphical of a game, as in it's not too bloody. Or there's a lot of blood and a lot of people dying and stuff, but there's no real close-up details, not like Sniper Elite or the Mortal Kombat games. This game doesn't get that close to the detail. This is a bloody isometric view, which I hate. The game wasn't really reviewed well and got scored around 3s and 5s out of 10, which I think that's unfair to this game. I would give this game probably a mid-7s, definitely a 6. And I just find this amazing, but just because the current trend or industry just to jump on a bandwagon is to hate this game. And I don't think this game deserves it, not at all. Which, if you know my stuff, you know that I don't like playing isometric games, or I don't like, well yeah, I don't like playing them. They're usually buggy, they usually have terrible combat, it's hard to figure out what way you are really pointing your WASD keyboard or your mouse on the screen. It's hard to tell where your character will move to. It's just not fun for me, and it's really hard to find stuff. There's a lot of stuff hidden behind walls, you're never too sure what you can jump over, what's too big for you or not. But I'm willing to look past all that if the game has an interesting theme. This game definitely does have that interesting theme. Straight away you can see the art style of it. It's similar to a grey, black and white kind of theme like the Saboteur or the Sin City movies. Obviously there's a few different colours in there as well, such as red for blood, red orange for explosions, and the red and blue from a cop car. And I think that looks beautiful in this game. It suits the theme of Hatred, the emo edgelord this guy is. He sees things very black and white, doesn't he? That's a metaphor for him saying things are either good or bad, which his version is good is a stuffed up version of killing someone, killing an innocent person. This guy's a tool, but he fits right in with this game. It makes a lot of sense for him. So does the guy from Doom. He would fit in with this game. So is the media saying that Doom guy's character is more deep than this guy? I don't know. The main complaint a lot of critics had with this game was that it lacks a lot of variation. Have you seen the latest big budget games lately? Look at Battlefield, Call of Duty, Ark, Dead by Daylight. That has you repeating the same actions over and over and over again. Is that variation? No! Those are a different genre, but I'm just trying to prove my point that there isn't a lot of variety in the games industry. And this game has it. This game has that variety. This game is a shoot 'em up though. It's not a popular genre, not nearly as what it used to be. The latest big shoot 'em up game released last year was probably Enter the Gungeon, which is definitely, that definitely has a lot of variety. That's the game where you pick up different types of guns in every chest you find. That has amazing variety. Not many games have that variety at all. And it was a bit of a roguelike, a bit like Rogue Legacy. So really, when comparing those games, what kind of variety do you expect in this kind of genre? How long are you playing this game for? Are you supposed to be playing this game as much as a multiplayer game, even though it doesn't have multiplayer? It's single player. It's fun to go through the campaign from the start to the end. You can also go through the survival missions. Oh, by the way, I'll show you some of these survival missions for this game. Federal Tax Department. Rows of civilians lined up during the late hours to pay mandatory tribute to authorities as visions of an obliterated city were broadcasted on TVs. An ideal moment to follow in the antagonist's footsteps and commit genocide in this large government building. What? After the nuclear explosion, survivors began their search for shelter to provide security from the fallout. Metro stations became infested with refugees. One of these stations is in need of cleansing. Close quarters combat creates an environment with easy targets, though it's just as easy to hunt as it is become the prey. Now that's obviously meant to be played after the story mode, the campaign mode, and the story there is that you literally leave your house, kill shit, kill civilians, you fight cops, you even go inside an army base, grab a hammer and you leave from there. And right next door is a nuclear power plant. What do you think this guy wants to do? So yeah, I think the story fits very well for what this guy is, what this character and what this game is. It shows off the gameplay. I love that this game knows what it is, the character, the development, the depth. Well, maybe not the depth. this character doesn't really lack a lot of depth. He just wants to kill civilians. He doesn't care. Like through the whole story, he is constantly talking about parasites and scum, which I've done script writing classes, right? And I always got to cringe when somebody says the word scum, because I use that in one of my scripts when I was referring to someone being racist to another person. I just said, you fucking scum. Well, I didn't use the F word, but you know. And the guy I was giving my script to said that's a very derogatory term. So instead of scum, use more racist words such as you red, you damn bloody ginger, you sheepshagger, you drongo or something. I don't know, something hurtful for that race. I don't want to get too personal. I know a lot of racial slurs and they're all dumb. But if you're writing for a character, it needs to be more believable than scum. And I think this character does develop later on in the campaign where he uses the word parasite, so he's definitely disgusted by these civilians. So the theme for this game is there, it makes sense, and I think I've said that multiple times now, I'm sorry. But I just love that about this game, that this game does not give a shit. It's not trying to compromise. The gameplay is not that great. It's like I said, it's the isometric view, which I don't like, and it is pretty challenging. But you have your health bar down the bottom, and every time that gets low, you have to execute someone. You can execute someone when you have full health, but whenever you execute someone, you restore that health to its full limits once again. So it gets harder later on in the campaign where you can't find so many people. Less areas are grouped up with civilians, and you're fighting no one but like military people or cops, and when you kill them they all usually just die really fast. They don't struggle and you can't run up to them, execute them, restore your health. But I found it manageable. You know, I finished the game, the campaign, whatever you want to call it, and it's just surprising how this game just gets hated. You know, you want to talk about hatred. People are hating this game, and that's not because of its gameplay. The gameplay is fine. It's not because of the theme. The theme is fine. It knows what it is. It's because of the bandwagon people are jumping on just to hate this game. It doesn't deserve 3s and 5s from these critics. But I should say that my point of view of playing games is casual. It's not a full-time critic or anything. I'm not in that privileged position, or honestly stressful position. I would think it gets very stressful as a game critic. And if you see a game like this, you may have to try and give it a low score because you don't want this type of game to be a mainstream type of thing. And you know the publishers of your work will not like this type of thing being scored highly on their website, which is really sad. But Hatred is not a bad game. But what this game shows is a hatred people want to give this game simply because of the bandwagon effect. And that's what I hate. That's what makes me want to start wearing a trench coat, grow long hair, get like buffed up like this guy or something, just run around, you know, with all these guns and die as soon as I step outside because I'll probably get skin cancer or something. Bloody hot over here. But these developers are making another game. So I really love these developers. I really respect them for going out of the trend, jumping off the rails and wanting to make something which they really believed in. On their site it says that they want to create original and non-compromising games. For an indie studio that's not surprising, but the results are creative games. Some may say it's not creative, but I would disagree because they are not trying to follow a trend. They're not trying to blend genres, they are doing what they want and the media is advertising their game for them. This game would not nearly have been as popular if the media didn't start this whole shitstorm about it. And I think that's smart for an indie studio to make creative games which gets the media talking about it. But first it's Hatred, and you know the next game which is probably going to get a lot of hate by all these critics is IS Defense. That's this developer's next game coming out in April, and instead of killing civilians you will be jumping back on the rails in this on-rails shooter. The on-rails shooter seems to be having overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. It's not even out yet, so I don't know what to make of that, but the trailers sure make it look fun. It's like a modern adaptation of an on-rails shooter, so there's going to be heaps of effects, there's going to be bloody explosions and things coming at you all the time. So I hope to try that out in future because I really respect these developers if they're going to keep trying to make these games which are non-compromising and they don't care about the reviews they get for it. This game is just a giant fuck off to the industry. Its gameplay is fine, its theme is fine. The way the media reacted to it is not fine. There's no point jumping on the bandwagons to help the big companies when they don't really need you all the time. If you want to support an industry, you support the smaller guys, the people who are willing to go out of their way to create new games such as this. And I'm sorry, I think I've just been ranting for a while now, and I think I've explained this game enough to say that it is a fun game and it has a really good theme with it. Its art style is great. The music, sound effects, it's all there. It's not a bad game. It's the fucking media. So I hope you can get to play this game. If you are an adult, then you can play this game. If you're not an adult, then maybe don't play this game. I wouldn't want the typical 16-year-old to play this game who goes to high school and has fantasies and has a wild imagination, which needs a mature player to know that this stuff is not good. And look, if you're playing through this game and you don't laugh, then I think you have a problem. Not laugh because it's bad, laugh because this character is just ridiculous. He makes sense in this world, like I've kept saying, but you need to be able to laugh at what this character represents, which is obviously hatred. This game is honestly kind of relaxing, and I would say it's probably even a bit of a comedy. If you're young, if you're 16, 20, or even I think slightly older, you don't really have a lot of chances to really hate something, or maybe hate isn't the wrong word, bitter. As you grow older, you get more and more bitter. You start to hate more things which are out of your reach, stuff which you can't change. And you realize that, such as the media, the whole YouTube media as well. How a lot of people are just following all these trends, such as the whole iPhone thing. And that really shows in this game with the missions it has. There was one mission where there was a grand opening of some special phone at some store, and at the store all the staff seemed to wear special shirts. Guess what that's a parody of? So you had to go in there and kill everyone. There was also a mission where you had to kill a politician. This game wasn't really made for children or teenagers. It was made for adults to put you in adult situations and just completely shoot your way through that. And these developers have realized that. They realize that, well, they're fulfilling a fantasy for some people. And maybe this is just my fantasy. Maybe I'm just full of hatred and full of bitterness. I'm not going to deny that. But I found this game pretty well designed, and I think it has a pretty good aspect on it. But it can't stop you from fantasizing about that stuff, and that's what this game is. It's hatred in its pure form. So this is a good game. If you don't think so, then let me know. If you don't think so in your media, fuck off. Thank you for watching. I hope you will get to try a game like this and do get to see the good side of it, not just the bad side. Subscribe, comment if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.